Okay.
Oh yeah, did you say you were in Italy, Ola, or are you back in the UK now?
I'm back in the UK now, yeah.
Oh, when did you get back?
About a day after the quarantine rule came in.
Oh, well done.
I've ended up in a 2-week quarantine, but I've got plenty of business to do, so it's not bad.
All right, I think we're live. Let's just see. I'm just trying to check on my phone. Have you got your phone on, or?
I'm on Zoom on my phone.
Oh, right, okay.
It's live at the top.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it is live. I just want to make sure I'll put it on so that we can see any comments or questions as we go along, because otherwise.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So Sobia saying she can see us. She's saying hi.
Hello.
Who else has commented? And Gemma's watching us as well.
Hello, Gemma.
Everyone. Hello. Okay. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum and greetings, whichever part of the world you're from. We have Ola with us today, who is a travelpreneur and has such an exciting life, and has recently just been to Italy, came back 1 day ago, and now here to do this interview, and also stuck in quarantine, which is quite convenient because she can work on her business. So hi, everyone, and welcome. And I'll hand it over to Ola. So Ola, tell us more about yourself and your journey into business.
Hello, Miriam. Thank you very much for kind of inviting me onto this very, very exciting summit. First of all, welcome everybody who has joined us. And I just wanted to say thanks to all the leading ladies that have started off this summit up until today, and the amazing value that they have shared. I've been taking notes all along. Thank you very much for everything that you have shared. So yeah, talking about my story, how much time do we have?
You don't have all night, but you can take as long as you want.
That's fine. So I'll just briefly kind of give a little bit about my background. So I have I'm quite recent in the UK. I've been here for about 8 years. I'm grown and raised in Iraq, and then I moved with my family to Dubai, and then I moved again to Lebanon, and then I relocated here. So I suppose like traveling has always kind of been part of my background theme in my life. I'm not a stranger to it. I came to the UK, settled here for the job for my registrar training in critical care, and then I joined it up with acute medicine. And I fully qualified as a consultant in January 2019. And at that point, I took up a job in critical care and acute medicine, where I work at the moment. I'm still working full time. But you know what? When I took up the job, part of me took the job up because I wanted a sense of stability.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that kind of income coming in without me kind of fretting or thinking about how am I going to generate it. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that because I've moved a lot, because of the war that happened back home, and that I'm living away from my family at the moment, there's kind of like been a lot of instability in my life leading up to this point, that when I got to kind of like the fact that, oh, this is a stable job, this is a stable income, I wanted to take it. And plus, it's been something that I've worked for pretty much half of my life since going to medical school. So I took on the job, but I kept on feeling there's that part of me, and probably you and all the other ladies that came on to the summit has mentioned it. There's the part of me that just felt still unfulfilled. There was something more out there. I knew I had more of a potential. I wanted to do something else, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. So I told my the hospital, the employer, basically the team that I'm working with, I was like, I need to take some time off and I need to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
And I went on a 5-month traveling journey.
Yeah, because that takes quite a lot of courage to do that. I think like it's so common that people do ask those questions, but they don't take that moment to stop. And it's so important to stop and just ask. Yeah, well done.
Exactly. And throughout my training, the thing that I regret, Mariam, well, actually, I regret 2 things. First of all, is that I didn't take that kind of career break, so to speak, earlier, because it was always kind of like always caught in that rat race of I've got the next rotation, I've got the next exam, I have to pass this ARCP, etc. And I just never felt that, oh, if I take a career break, is it going to be granted? Is someone going to support me? I just didn't feel that I could do it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I regret, that I didn't go for it during my training or before I got to registrar training. And the other thing is that when I came to take it, I took only 5 months, and I really wanted to have taken a year.
Okay.
Like, complete kind of figuring out stuff. But still, 5 months was like absolutely fantastic. Up until that point, the traveling that I have done in my life has been going back home to visit my family, or
Yeah.
maybe go on a conference or two. Might go on a family holiday here or there kind of thing. But I've not really done the whole solo travel experience before. So I sat down, I wrote kind of like a bucket list, and I just went for it. So that's when I went to about, can't remember now, I think it was about 23 cities or something.
Well
So I
done.
went to like different places in Europe, and then far to the southeast. And then I came back to Europe, and then I came back to the job. And a lot went in my mind during that time about what I really want out of life. What kind of life do I want? And am I really the person that's going to keep on working, paying their bills until they die? And I'm most definitely not. And I wanted to do something, and I wasn't quite sure what is it, that thing that I wanted to do, that kind of, like that thing that makes your soul sing, basically. And while I was in my traveling journey, it didn't occur to me, ironically, that I wanted to be a travelpreneur. Anyways, I finished all of that travel journey, and then I came back home and I started the job, and I was like, there's something still amiss. So my dad actually told me, like, you've got so many amazing photos and so many amazing stories from your travels. Why don't you share that so someone else can get inspired and enlightened, and maybe help someone else with it? So I was like, actually, that's quite a good idea. And I'd quite like to kind of, how do you write it? Like, document my memories, because there's been a lot of funny stories and a lot of scary stories and a lot of kind of like inspiring stories and all of that kind of thing. So I was like, great, I'll do that. How am I going to do it? And then the idea of a travel blog came up. So I started my travel blog, and I started writing about everything that I've been doing, and like putting up all my pictures, etc. And then I thought to myself, well, actually, I really like travel, and it's really something that I keep on looking forward to. And I travel about every 4 to 6 weeks, even when I'm working full time at the moment. It is like my number one priority. So I was like, well, I really, really like travel. So I'm going to look for something to get involved in the world of travel, because this is what makes my soul sing. And then I started looking into how can I generate an income from my travel blog. Started looking into that, started looking into like websites and SEOs, and how to rank on Google, and how to generate the passive income, the affiliate income. It didn't quite work for me, and it didn't quite fit what I really wanted to do, or the message that I wanted to share from it. And then again, long story, cutting it short, I came across, I came to the thought of like, actually, why don't I set up my own travel business so I can help a lot of other people who would want to solo travel? Because I came to notice that although we're in 2020, we're going on to 2021, when you mention that you're a woman that is solo traveling, people still raise their eyebrows, and they still go, oh, really? Are you not scared? Or how do you do it on your own? Or is this still something possible? So I was like, well, I've done it, and I know it's possible. So why don't I share this with other people? And I start a business that goes along the lines of helping more women, helping more people to solo travel. And I started digging into, how do you start a travel business? And you know how Google takes you from one page to another, etc. And I kept on digging into it and looking into kind of like licenses, how you set yourself up, and like the whole, traditional business models, etc. And then one day online on Instagram, I came across this lady that has started her own travel business. And I was like, tell me more. How did you do it? And she basically introduced me to the business that I am currently part of. And it's basically, you set yourself up to become an independent travel agent. So I got involved with this company, partnered up with them. they have all the licenses, all the kind of like the ACTA protection, etc. assurances. And
Yeah.
I work as a travel agent.
Interestingly, I looked into starting up a travel agency at one point, so I'm a bit familiar with the terms. Yeah.
You know, like you have to have the licenses, especially
you have to have like, it's quite costly to get them individually if you were to do it yourself. Yeah. So yeah, that
very,
sounds
very
like a
costly.
nice setup.
Yeah, and even like, because I looked at it, and even like with my doctor salary, I was like, even if I can like put up money and save for it and afford it, am I really going to generate the income back from it?
Yeah.
And especially when I was looking through this during the pandemic time, I was like, I'm not sure, because I definitely need to get all the licenses. Nobody's going to book travel with me unless I'm insured and protected, etc. It's not pre-corona days, you know, when people would just wing it and just go. I was like, this needs to be proper. Plus the doctor in me, you need to have all the certifications and credentials and all of that. So with this, basically what you do is you get set up yourself as a travel agent. You do all the kind of like the mandatory regulatory training, etc. So you kind of like have your certification as a travel agent. But at the same time, the company themselves, they are the ones that would pay for the APTA licenses and the protections, etc. So I was like, this is a really sweet combination. And whatever things that I would book, whether it's for myself or for anyone else, and that anything that is travel related, like from your car rental, your airport lounge, your flight, your accommodation, anything in the world that is related to the world of travel, whether it's in the UK or abroad, I'll get an income from it. So I was like, this is an absolute no-brainer for me, because I already travel. I do it so many times, so why not benefit from it? So that's basically how first the idea started. And then I looked at it more and I was like, well, I can take this a step further and help people who would want to travel. And I can do that by two ways. I can do it by booking their own travels for them, you know.
Yeah.
Designing the travel, giving them the advice, looking for the best deals, giving them part of my experience because I've done so much travel, and then got involved in another business which is kind of like related to it, in which if people would want to do the same thing and they want to benefit from their own travels or build their own organization, then I can give them that opportunity as well. So yeah, so that's how kind of came into it, and it's kind of like been one thing after another, and you keep on kind of like that continuous search of, is this what I want to do? Is this my potential? And you keep on kind of like snowballing from that until you end up in the thing that you really want to do.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about like asking yourself like what's like going to light my soul up. That's like and to be honest, my journey into becoming, like, initially when I became a healing coach, it was quite similar to yours. Like basically what happened, I got divorced and I was an F2 and I was really burnt out, and I was like, oh my God, like I don't even recognize myself anymore. And then I started I used to do a lot of like art and writing and poetry and stuff. And I used to share it with a group of friends, and they were like, why don't you share it on like Facebook and Instagram? So I started doing that, and then I got quite a bit of following, and then slowly like it just went from there. And I was like, this really lights me up. Like I love writing this stuff, and like people would comment and say, oh, this is really beautiful, like you really touched my heart. And then I just carried on like that. So it's quite cool that we got like similar journey into it. Yeah, and it's so important. I think what I'm taking away from you is like what I would point out to the guests is sometimes you just have to, whatever you enjoy, just roll with it. And you don't know where it's going to take you. Like if it's something natural talent that you just got, just share it. Like share that gift, isn't it? It's your soul gift, just share it.
And it's really important to keep an open mind, and being flexible and trying things before you say no. And I know all of these are kind of like a little bit of life cliches, but they are so true, because I've never imagined myself, like snowballing into this, but I just kept on saying, well, yeah, why not do this? Let's try, let's see. And it's just been absolutely fantastic. That it's just been absolutely an amazing journey.
Well done, I love it. So and I think the other thing I'm taking away here, which I like want to kind of pick on, is like taking that time out to ask those questions, because it's so easy to just get stuck in the rat race and not ask those questions. Like that is so important. At one point, actually, when I was in my business journey, I applied for this job as a disability functional assessor. And it was like a really lucrative pay and like so many benefits. And I actually, like, it was a 4-point selection process. I did it all. I got to the end. And then they even offered me like part-time work. And I was like, okay, this is ideal, like, because I'm going to be having kids. And then I was like, wait a minute, is this what I want? And it takes so much courage at that point, because, you know, you can just stay on that like running belt and keep going, or you can just listen to your soul and say no. And that takes so much courage, but it's so worth it afterwards.
Definitely.
Yes.
So rewarding. I did look into that disability function assessment role, and it suits some people, and that's absolutely great for them. But it's very important to listen to yourself and that nagging voice in your gut that says, this is not me, I want more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like being that. And I think, yeah, at that point, sometimes it can be really scary to let go of that thing, which is going to bring that constant, stable income, and which looks lucrative. But if it's not something authentically you, just be brave. Yeah, it takes, but well done. You like, I'm so inspired. Love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so was there like, it sounds like it was quite a quick journey. Was there any detours along the way? Did you try anything else?
Not really, no, not in the world of entrepreneurship. So I'm pretty much a baby in this. I started my journey almost about 6 months ago. So in the height of the pandemic, when we were like firefighting with COVID and everything at work, I was like, I need something to get me out of this kind of environment, and the whole travel thing and what can I do in my life was going in the back of my head, and I came across it and I just kind of like dived in. So I suppose the only little detour was looking into monetizing my travel blog.
Yeah.
That little bit, but I didn't kind of, I would say I stayed in it about 4-6 weeks trying to make it. I probably didn't spend as much time as it would have needed to make it fruit. But it was enough for me to know that this is not what I want to spend the rest of my life doing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's really interesting as well, because I think that's the other thing in business. Like you can easily set up a business that you end up hating. And it's so important to just know which bits you like and which bits you don't like. So again, those questions are so important. Just looking at the comments. So Feroz is saying salam and Katrina is saying hello. Thank you for watching, ladies. If anyone has any questions for Ola as we go along, or any comments, just leave them on the Facebook, and I'm watching, so
feel free to ask difficult questions, embarrassing questions, anything.
Okay, so looks like not many detours, but what's your big why then, Ola?
Ooh, okay, right. So it kind of morphed as I went along, but it all started with, I am destined to do more. I am destined for, you know, I service my patients during my job, but I felt I've got more to give. And I came from that kind of place that I've got more potential and I want to change lives. I want to change my own life. And the more that I got into it, the more I kind of came to recognize the kind of like the importance of the time freedom and the financial freedom, and like being able to just be in different parts of the world and still be able to do something that you absolutely love and make an income from it while making an impact on other people's lives. That just kind of like really got me. And especially with I mean, I've got a partner that lives in the Netherlands. I've got my family that live between Canada and Dubai. I've got other family that are still in Iraq, between Iraq and Turkey. So it's kind of important for me to be able to move about. And with my job, it's very, very restrictive to be able to do that. Even, you know, like the annual leave has to be planned and rostered and all of that. And like quite recently, one of my friends had to have surgery, and she wanted me to go with her. And I was like, went with her, obviously. I had to kind of like plan it and all of that and get cover. But when I was there with her in the hospital and helping her out, and at the same time I was doing my business from my phone, it just dawned on me that this is an absolutely amazing opportunity that I need to share with more people, to be able to do the same thing, that you can be with people that you love at a drop of a hat, helping them out, you know, doing all of these kind of things while you're still making an income from like your phone, basically. So it kind of changed from trying to find more fulfillment in life and trying to find something that my soul sings into, actually I can grow this into something more meaningful for other people as well.
Yeah, I think that's sounds so similar to what everyone's been saying this week, because as you go along, it is really beautiful, because like that's one of the, like, that was one of my biggest pains in medicine, was like, you know, like my grandma's really old and I'm so attached to her, and then she would get ill and I wouldn't have that time to just sit with her and, you know, just, you know, press her legs and just make her smile. And I used to eat me up, that used to, and now to have that ability to just, you know, go and, you know, if I want to, I can just sit with her, give her a bath, make her a cup of tea, just make her smile, and still know that I've got that income on the side coming in. Is that, you can't put that into words.
No,
Yeah,
and you can't put a price on that, and it's
you
just,
can't.
yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Okay, Katrina is saying it's so important to consider what you really want to do and what lights you up, and also how you'd like to spend your days. Definitely, yeah. I don't know, I can't highlight how important that is to everyone. Just make sure you do that soul searching before you go into your business, otherwise you could get it completely wrong. But also at the same time, just start somewhere. So like Ola, like if you see, like she just started with traveling and you just let it flow, see where it goes.
I exactly. I started with traveling to kind of like a form of kind of like mindfulness, get myself away from the environment that I'm in so I can like think clearly. And then travel became the thing that I'm doing, and I use it a lot for my own well-being, my own kind of like resilience. And you would know, like in Islam, the Prophet said that traveling itself has like 7 benefits. And so yeah, it's definitely starts somewhere. Anywhere is a starting point, and I always say you're only behind if you don't start.
Definitely. And I think, yeah, just don't be afraid to take that time out to ask those questions, because it just literally changes the rest of your life. And it's, for someone like me, the rest of my life is important. Yeah, you want to be doing something that you're fulfilled with, that you're happy with. And when you look back, that little break that you took, 3 months, 5 months, even a year, I always say this to my clients, that 1 year is you're not going to feel like, oh my God, what did I do? Even though right now you might think, oh my God, 1 year from my career. But when you look back and you've changed your life into something you want, that 1 year is going to look like nothing. Like you're saying yourself, Ola, you wish you had taken a bit longer.
Yeah, it's like I always tell my juniors, because like a few of them come to me for career advice, and I always go like, right, do you want to take 6 months or a year out of your life to figure out what you really want to do? And that's not necessarily, you know, leaving medicine, but what kind of specialty you want to do. Or do you want to be stuck for 30 years as a consultant doing something that, you know, it doesn't make you sing, it doesn't make you happy, want to get out of bed every morning? Which one do you prefer? A 6 months, you know, a bit of maybe locoming to keep the income flowing, and, you know, soul searching, asking questions? Or do you want to be 30 years trapped?
Yeah, I think that's looking back, that's exactly what I did, because I got to F2 and then my family were like, just apply for GP. And then I was like, I knew I wasn't ready for it, and I didn't want to just jump into something and just go carry on. I was like, no, I'm just going to locum for a while and see what I really want to do before I decide. So yeah, that's so important. Love that. Okay, so you're just the right person for this question. How do you juggle work, business, and, for you, I suppose, traveling as well?
Right. Okay. So with well, and that kind of brings us back to why you do the business, or why do you do what you do? Because if you do what you want to do, you will always make time for it. And I always say to people, you don't have time, you make time. So I'm very, very organized, or you have to be very, very organized when you juggle 2 things. And when you have connections in different time zones as well. So number 1 top tip is definitely get yourself a calendar, the Google Calendar, you know, like an organizer, sorry, like a paper if you're a pen and paper person, or the Google Calendar, and block out time ahead of time. Okay, so I look at my calendar about every 3 months, and for the 3 months I would slot in all of my medical shifts, my on calls. So I've got my work put in there. I know what my contribution to work is. And then I slot in where I've got other kind of commitments that I absolutely have to do. And then I would slot in times for my business and when I can do it. And I always remember to kind of like slot in time for just me, because you need to unwind and kind of like reflect and think. So yeah, Google Calendar has been absolute massive help for me to do that. Very kind of like organized person. And the other thing is to be flexible and be able to go with the flow. So find little pockets of time. So again, one of the things that I absolutely love about an online business versus, you know, the traditional model of business is that if I'm waiting in the supermarket queue for 10 minutes, I can get my phone out and do a little bit of my work. If I'm, you know, picking up someone or waiting for someone, etc., I can do another 10 minutes out and get it out of the way. So that's kind of thing is being very kind of like flexible, being creative about it, not kind of like restricting yourself to, oh, I'm kind of going to waste my time throughout the day, do X, Y, Z, and then I'll get to it later on in the evening. And then by the evening time, you're just absolutely tired and you've got no creative juices anymore flowing. So I think that's the kind of like my most two important top tips.
Yeah, so similar to what Feroz was saying as well, it's like having those blocks. And then I think Ruqayya mentioned yesterday as well, having those pockets of time, especially when you're working. I remember when I used to work, literally I used to, like at lunchtime, I used to go upstairs to the canteen, get my phone out, write a quick post on Facebook, or like in the morning, just before work, wake up 1 hour earlier, do a little bit then. So that's when you start off, is just finding those pockets of time and just using them as much as you can. And I think what you have to let go of is, which we often have, is this idea of completing a task fully.
Yep.
You could easily, like if you just use those 10-minute pockets, at the end of the day, you could have used 40 minutes altogether and finished the task. But if you wait for that full 1 hour, you might not get it.
Exactly, it will never come. That kind of thing. It's just you have to be flexible, you have to be kind of like an organized planner, and know what your tasks are, but at the same time you have to be flexible and creative. So like every day I've got I don't know what I use Google Keep, so it's a really good app for people who use Google Calendar as well, because they both integrate, and on Google Keep you can make lists and check boxes next to them. So I would always have like a general life to-do list, a business to-do list, a work to-do list. And they're all there ready and kind of like updated, and they link with my calendar with reminders. And then when I'm like, I've got a pocket of time, I can just take out my phone and I go like, right, okay, this is on my to-do list, tick, 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 you know, finish it. And then, okay, carry on with whatever else I was doing that day.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one, but I use Google Calendar as well for my planning. Actually, I switch. Sometimes I go to paper and pen, but generally I use Google Calendar, and then I use Todoist. That links in with, similar to what you're saying. So you put tasks on it. And I think the other time management tip, which I found really useful, there's a book called Getting Things Done, I got it from there, is you can, if you slot your tasks according to where you are. So for example, when I next go to town, I need to do this, and you can have a list like that, like town list, food store list, or next time I don't know, in the shopping queue, I can do this. And then when you're in that place, in that pocket of time, you can make sure you get all those things ticked off rather than have things waiting for later. That's a good, another tip I can add. Just so you can make lists according to where you are. Like, so if you're a doctor, you could have, okay, if I'm in clinic and a patient doesn't come, then these are the things I could do then. And then when you get to that point, you have like a list you can look at quickly and just get it done.
Brilliant.
That's just an idea which I use sometimes. Okay, so thanks for that, Ola. That was really useful. So yeah, Google Calendar, people, is quite good. I quite like it. It's quite easy to use, and you can just put things on there and get reminders, and it does allow you to slot in other things as well, and you can add people to it as well. So if you have a meeting, you can add people to it, and so they both have it on their calendar, you and the other person. What is the most rewarding aspect of your business? You've kind of covered this, Ola, but do you want to add anything else that keeps you motivated to keep doing what you're doing?
It's the community, I would say. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I know for a lot of us in the community where we're working, where we partner together, that just the community itself has been a lifeline for a lot of people, especially during lockdown. I mean, at least for me, I've got my family around me, like, and I'm still in contact, obviously. And when I go to work, I see my colleagues, etc. So although I'm going to work in critical care with COVID patients, etc., but still I see people and kind of like can debrief and talk to them.
Yeah.
But for the people that have been always at home, it's been quite difficult, and having that amazing community around them and that kind of support. And I'm really blown away by how people that have never met me in real life, you know, we've just completely met online, had an online relationship, and they just celebrate me. It's just astonishing, you know, and it's just seeing that community of like being grateful for everyone, being grateful for everyone's contribution, seeing people win, celebrating them. And I'm like, you've never met me in real life, and you're writing all of these kind, heartwarming, sorry, I can't even talk now. Heartwarming, I can't say it.
Heartwarming, I'll do it for you. I guess to like that.
It's just absolutely amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I really can't wait till all of this lockdown is over and I can actually meet you guys face to face. So yeah, it's been an absolutely amazing journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't know, I think entrepreneurs generally have like a certain kind of spirit, I find. And when you're in that journey with them, like this summit has been so energizing for me. Like I've just been like, yes, yes. Every day I think this is my soul sister. Then the next day I think, oh, this is my soul sister. So yeah, definitely the community is great. Kakiona saying, how are you finding the current situation affecting the traveling is like with the COVID and everything?
Spot on, great question. So again, and that brings me back to why I like this business model versus the traditional travel businesses. So for what we do, because we are, so again, it's been great. I have traveled myself 4 times since July, 6 times this year. So travel is definitely still going on. Another great thing that we have is I've got access to all of the suppliers of the UK for staycations. So those have actually sold out. We can't even book any more staycations for them. That was in the month of September. We couldn't book any more staycations because there's just like people were just taking them all on because they couldn't go abroad. We've booked travel for the value of about £25 million in the 5 months of the pandemic. A lot of the travel, I would say, it's up for 2021 because the travel industry has started to recognize quite early on that, yes, people are not going to travel now, but they're going to want to travel next year or the year after when the cabin fever really, really hits them. So the discounts for the coming 2 years have been absolutely kind of like down to your knees. So people have been kind of leveraging on that and booking ahead of time, because you get like very flexible cancellation terms and, you know, protection for your trips, etc. So yeah, definitely there's been that kind of recognition from the industry to help it kind of still boom. Yeah, so I've not personally noticed, I've noticed my business grow during a pandemic, which I thought this would be just kind of like a learning time for me to settle in. But I've traveled myself and I've helped other people travel, and I've got a customer that's traveling next week. So yeah, it's still going.
I think what I want to pick up there is like, sometimes it's not about the situation, it's your energy and what you bring. So obviously you're coming into it with that receiving energy, with the right money mindset, with that, so you're tapping into abundance, and that is so important. Like I was saying that to well, this GP was asking me about COVID and what about like, are you still getting coaching clients, and are people, can they still afford it? And I said, well, funnily enough, I've just had my best month like recently, and I was like, it's because it's not because it's so much about how we think, how we perceive the situation, and how we show up. So if you don't connect with the fear, if you connect with abundance, if you connect with love, for me, if you connect with God, and God's the source of abundance, like, you know, COVID or no COVID, that abundance is there and you can tap into it. So yeah, that's so true. And that's so much about, like, when you're doing business, you have to manage your energy, manage your thoughts, get into the right mindset. So great. Well,
energy speaks. Yeah. And I think one of the ladies, I've mentioned it throughout the summit, is like, people will pick up your vibe even if before you've spoken.
Yeah, definitely.
And it comes across even in like with when you message people, when you send emails out.
Yeah,
And
Shelley
I've
was saying
noticed
that. Yeah, Shelley was talking about that.
Shelley, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've noticed it myself, like when I'm having a little bit of an off day and I kind of like try to connect with people or message people or do a little bit of my business, I don't really get much of a response. But then the days that I'm on absolute fire and like my energy's through the roof and I'm completely psyched up about it, it just talks to people and I just get a flood of messages and replies and connections, etc. So definitely it's the mindset that you bring to the table and your energy will speak.
Yeah, I definitely can second that. And also like letting go of that. Sometimes when you're in business, I've been through it myself, you can get into that desperate state of, oh, I need a client, I need the money, oh, like I haven't got the money, I need the client. And you just you work yourself up and that anxiety actually shows in your energy and then you can't do anything. And funnily, like sometimes when I've had the most like relaxed day where I've literally like sat back and thought, okay, today I need some self-care. So you know what, today there's no business. And I'll get like 2-3 clients who will like message me or say like, oh, I'm interested in coaching with you. And it's just about, I don't know how, it's so like it's such a spiritual thing. You have to kind of relax and know that that abundance is coming and it comes.
It
Yeah.
definitely does. It
Yeah.
definitely does. I mean, we've had throughout the pandemic, we've had 4,000 people partner up with this company to start their travel businesses. Because
Yeah.
again, they're coming with this mindset of abundance, with this mindset that this can happen. We're going to make it happen, and it just boomed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. So, was there ever any days where with your like travel business that you almost gave up, and what kept you going on those days?
I wouldn't say I wanted to give up, but there definitely were days where you'd feel off. You know, you just get up and you go, you feel your low energy, you just go like, I'm tired. You've not been getting the kind of like not been hitting the progress that you've wanted to hit, and it kind of does get you because at the end of the day you're human. Um, not wanted to quit, but that's kind of like my signal for to rest, because you know what, there's the saying that when it gets tough, learn to rest, not to quit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my signal of, you know, I probably need to spend a little bit more time on my morning routine. I need to probably spend a little bit more time on my gratitude, a bit more on my self-development and my mindset, get myself rested and recharged, and go out to the arena all over again. And it happens, but as long as you've got those tools, I say, in your toolbox or your armory or whatever, then you can get through it. But definitely, yeah, it does, like anything else in life, it does have its ups and downs.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point as well, because that never goes away. Even if you talk to people who are like making 1 million a month, they still have those days where they get into a funk, where their energy goes down, and you just have to have tools to switch that energy. And sometimes you will have a bad day, and just waking up the next day knowing it's a new day and it's a new you and you can change it. And do you want to tell us about a bit any tools that you have? Ola, you mentioned gratitude. I use that sometimes. Do you have anything else that you use?
Yeah, so basically how I kind of like switch myself outside that kind of that low energy or that off mindset is, well, I'd always remind myself of the good things that have happened, or the good things that I have done, or how I've kind of like helped people. And I used to have like a jar. It was quite I did it for a while now, but I moved on to kind of like writing down in a journal. But I used to have a jar by my door and a little sticky notes, and whenever I would come back home, I would write on it something that my win of the day, or something that really made me feel happy, or I made someone else smile, etc., like really happy notes. And I'd put them in and I'll stick them in the jar. And then every time I'm feeling a little bit low, I'll bring the jar, turn it upside down, you know, like empty it all out, and then start reading them. And then you kind of like lifts up my spirits, like lifts up my energy, because the human brain is wired in a little bit of a weird way. Once you see a little bit of negativity, you kind of like zone into it, and it takes a lot of practice for you to see the other bright side of life and bright side of you, let's say. So I used to do that. Now I kind of moved into more of like the gratitude and journaling it every morning, part of like my morning routine. So that's one thing that I kind of do. I also, whenever I get kind of like a really nice or a grateful or a heartwarming message, I will take a screenshot of it. So it's really nice thing people to do. And then I just kind of flick through my screenshots and I go like, actually, I am changing the world. It's a bit like what Barbara said. It's that kind of positive self-talk. It kind of snaps you out of it.
That's a big one. Like, I think that for anyone who's starting a business, whatever you're doing, do that. If you get any positive comments, even if someone says it to you, come home, write it down, like have a little notebook of compliments. Even if you're not in business, just do this because it's going to help. Like even as a doctor, when you're seeing patients, for the 5 that complain, there are going to be like those 2 or 3 that are really grateful. If you just save those comments for yourself, and then when you're having a bad day, go back and read it and you're like, okay, I did make a difference in the world. Yeah. This reminds me of a film. Has anyone seen It's a Wonderful Life? Have you seen that? If anyone hasn't seen it, go and watch it. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a black and white film.
Okay, probably not.
It's about this man who wishes he was dead, and then basically his wish comes true. And then this angel takes him back and shows him all the people that he helped in his life and how their life would be so different if he was not alive. And then basically he brings him back, and then he's so happy to be alive, even though he's having all these problems. It's a really amazing film, but anyway. But it's a bit like what we're saying, like remembering the bits that you changed and being grateful.
Yeah, it's like the jar idea came to me before I started business, and it was at a point in life about 3 years ago where I was going through a real rough patch, and it was kind of like a real bit of a dark time for me. And I was sitting at the end of the year and I was like really feeling bad for myself, and I was feeling like an all-time low, that I've not accomplished anything. This year has passed by. I've not done any, that kind of negative feeling. And then I was speaking to one of my friends, and she was like, what are you talking about? You've passed your exams. That was the year that I've done my fellowship in intensive care. You've done this, you've done that. You've helped this, but you've helped me, you've done all of these amazing things. What are you talking about? And then it just hit me. New Year's is usually a time where you self-reflect, isn't it? And instead of like me thinking about all the bad things, why don't I start this jar of good things? And that's basically how it started.
Nice. Okay.
Sorry, I waffle a lot.
No, it's all right. I waffle myself, so yeah. Next question was okay, we've done that one. So we kind of covered some of this. Do you have a daily mindset routine to keep yourself motivated? So you mentioned the gratitude. Is there anything else you do, Ola?
Affirmations. So my business mentor taught me this, and she says basically, if you imagine you've got your best friend, you're the most supportive partner that you can ever have in life, that person is sat next to you and they're going to tell you something positive about yourself. You tell that to yourself. Okay, so I do that every morning. I give myself an affirmation. I say, I am capable, I choose happiness, I deserve, I am worthy of this, etc. Whatever it is, to kind of like affirm myself on my journey. So that's kind of like a very important thing that I do in the morning. And then in the evening, I do either read, depending on which day I have. So if I'm working, I would listen to a podcast. That's always part of my morning routine, because when I drive, I just use that time. But if I'm at home, then I'll read a book, a self-development book. So those are the kind of like main 3 things that I would do in the morning. And then in the evening, I would always write down what went well and how can I make tomorrow better.
Yeah, that's I do that like in the morning. Like I say, what am I doing well and what could I make better? And even that question, what can I make better? Because instead of saying, oh, I got this wrong, I did this wrong, you're not focusing on the negative. You're saying, okay, how could I make it better? And then it gets you into a different energy. It's a great tip.
It's a bit like when you say, don't think about monkeys, and then the only thing you can think about is monkeys. So if you tell yourself, don't think about my losses, that's the only thing that you're going to zone into. And if you say, actually, no, and it can be anything. Like there are days that I wake up and my gratitude is, I'm grateful for my eyesight. I'm grateful that I can write, It's the simple things that make your life much better. And if you focus on it, again, it kind of all pours into the mindset of abundance, and that you can have more once you are grateful for what you already have.
Yeah, I was just on a coaching call today actually, and I was saying to the ladies, make sure you celebrate yourself every day. And I was like, even if you don't find anything else, just the fact that you got out of bed, that you got dressed, that you had breakfast, like that's enough, and you can celebrate that. And just yeah, so it's so important. Like if you want to keep your mindset up, keep yourself motivated, you have to celebrate yourself, which we're not used to doing as doctors. So that's even more important. Okay, so where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, and what's your larger than life goal?
Ooh, I want to change the world. Will you change it with me?
We all want to do that, don't we?
We all want to do that, absolutely. I am on an absolute mission.
Yeah. And it sounds like
I
such a cliche, but it's so beautiful when someone actually means it. Like I say it and I mean it. I do want to change the world and I'm going to change it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You are and we are. And like, it's just you have to be that absolute positive force, because what's the alternative? What's the other thing that you're going to do that's going to really impact people's life in a positive way? But no, I definitely want to change the world. I want to change my life. I want to kind of spread the mission and the message of travel and well-being and resilience through travel. And I want to I want to work with people to tap into their potential, because the same way that travel has opened my own eyes into what my potential is and what my journey is going to be, I believe it will open other people's eyes to their potential, whatever it might be. I mean, they might choose to work with me, they may not choose to do so, but just the fact that they have tapped into what they want to do and what their message in life. I always say that we are divine beings and we have created with so much potential, and we always need to tap into it. So yeah, just that in my eyes will change the world, and that is really what I want to do. I want to have a bit more of a bigger role. So at the moment I have kind of like a non-official kind of role of about talking about career advice and giving advice for people, because I've come from overseas. So I'm not kind of like the traditional medical trainee that graduated in England and took up the training jobs, etc. I went through quite a number of hoops, because when I came to the UK, I wasn't a British citizen. So there's quite a number of hoops that you need to go through to get into your registrar training and having a national training number.
Yeah, it's
so
quite tough, I think, when you're from overseas. So yeah, that's an achievement in itself. Yeah.
It was quite trying. So a lot of people kind of like come to me, or other people signpost to me to kind of like, what was your journey? How did you do it? And then I kind of like branch out from that into kind of career advice of what you really want to do. What do you want to do in medicine? And then do you want to do medicine, or do you want to do something else? But I want to move forward and have a bit more of a formal role into that, because like there are more developing like alternate career committees and advisors, etc. And I want to kind of branch out into having more of a role in it. I want to grow my blog. I want to grow my newsletter. I want to write a book, which is going to talk about my it's going to be my story, and it could be, I don't know, it might end up being Marmite. Some people might love it and some people might hate it, but I really feel passionate about everything that I have been through, you know, all the struggles and how I got through it. I've lived through 3 wars. I was born during a war, lived through a war, left my country because of a war, went to Lebanon, which was a war zone, and then kind of took myself out of all of that and came here. And a lot of things have happened to me on a personal level as well. And I just think that there is a message there to help other women that could have gone through this as well. So yeah, I definitely want to write a book, even if it just ends up being, you know, my own memoir or my own journal, and nobody buys it, nobody cares, but I would have done it, and that's the important thing. So yeah, you bring it, that's good.
No, I love stories. I'm writing my own book as well. I think I mentioned it before, but yeah, it literally is just like reflections on life. And again, it's just started organically, where I was sharing stuff online and getting really good feedback. And then I was like, okay, why don't I turn this into a book? And then it's just kind of flowed from there. So again, just flow with things. Katrina is saying, hit the nail on the head with gratitude. Yeah, I think we found, I think we've all said that we do a gratitude practice. And I actually use it like sometimes when I'm in a funk. and I'm thinking I'm having a really bad day, and I just sit there and I go, okay, what am I grateful for right now? And I just go through a list, like, okay, I can see, I can hear things, I can, like, I've got skin, I'm healthy, God's given me a daughter, and I'll just carry on until like I feel better, because we can so easily just get stuck in that negative space.
And you know what? If I just feel that it's such a big shame that we don't get taught self-development or gratitude, because gratitude is part of self-development, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's such a shame that we do such a tough, hardcore job day in, day out, and we don't get taught self-development, we don't get taught mindset, we just get told, keep on with it, do it, just do it. I don't know if you're listening to me because you froze there. Don't know if you can hear me. Yes, probably yes, no?
Now I can, yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah. I was just saying it's just such a shame that we do a hardcore job, but we'd never get taught about self-development, about
definitely, I agree with that, yeah. So Catriona's changing that, telling people how to avoid burnout and self-care, and so anyone who's facing anything like that, even if you're not even burnt out, like, it's time to do it now before you get burnt out. So self-care, gratitude, all of that. Okay, so did you undergo, I suppose yours is a bit different, but did you have to undergo any like certification or anything to set up your travel business?
Yes, so we do have regulatory training, so to be compliant with the industry. So we know, customer data protection. You have to be aware about how you can book packages and how you can sort them out, so you kind of like legally protected in terms of cancellation terms, etc. I think you froze again. Did it freeze again? Hello? Did you lose me?
Yeah, I lost you again. So
okay. Whereabouts did you get up to?
I heard a bit of like, I think I heard you said something about packages and customer data.
And so that we're compliant with the cancellation policies, protections, etc. You have to be aware of all of those things. So I've got my training and certification in that. And then afterwards, we've got lots of free training provided. So at the moment, I'm a certified vacation builder. And basically, there are grades up until you get to become an ambassador. And all of that is kind of like training. And then I've also a Jumeirah specialist. And I'm working my way to become a Hawaii specialist. And next weekend, I have got a course to become a wedding and honeymoon specialist. So if anyone is looking to book their honeymoon, I can make it happen. Or
maybe a late
like
one.
Dubai or the Middle East, or yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so there is like you can do different packages and there is some certification involved. Okay.
There's definitely training.
Yeah. I think we've kind of covered this anyway, but if you want to add anything, would you agree that entrepreneurship allows you to bring your full self and creativity to your work? And what does that look like for you?
Definitely, it brings you all together. It brings your creative self out. It makes you ask questions you've not asked before. It's amazing. It's great, especially if you know that you're a free spirit, that you're not meant to. That you're meant to be accountable to yourself rather than to be accountable to someone else. If you're someone that always felt like you're the square peg that's trying to fit in the what do you call it? How do you call it?
The round hole. I don't know what it is.
The round hole. Yes, exactly. Don't feel obliged to fit in, because if you were created to stand out, don't fit in. And definitely, entrepreneurship has opened my eyes to a lot of abundance, and it definitely allows you to flow.
Yeah, I have to second that. I'm not going to add anything else. I think I had, so did you invest in, looks like you did you invest in any sort of coaching or anything like that, business coaching for your business, and how has that helped you in your life and your business?
So part of the setup, part of the startup investment to start my business and get my credentials, etc. Part of it is that I have access to mentors and coaches within the business. And so we have a weekly coaching call. We have regular kind of like coaching meetings, etc. But that is kind of like for the whole organization, for the wider team. I have access for a mentor one-to-one, but that's all within my business. So I don't kind of like pay extra for it. I have invested in a number of books and courses and resources, and I believe it was Barbara that touched on it. Fraser Brooks is an absolute legend. I've invested in his resources. Currently, I am looking for a one-to-one business coach, but I'd like to kind of find someone that is within my business sphere. You know, it's a search process.
Yeah.
So I would be definitely looking into investing, because like when you invest in yourself, lots comes out of it. So I would definitely, I like advice for other people, even if you get coaches within your own business line or mentor, etc., definitely invest in another coach.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's you can have all the business strategy, but like I've invested in mindset coaches. Like the one coach that made the most difference to my business was actually a mindset coach. It's huge. You just can't put a price on that change, and it's not because it's not even the income change, it's how you change in yourself and how you change the way you see the world and how you show up as like this bigger, bolder version of you. And like that's what I'm passionate about, like just helping women to let go of all that nonsense that's keeping you holding back, like be the leader that you are, be that great person that you are. Like it's such a journey. So yeah,
I agree, absolutely.
So do you have any so I think you've already covered that one, so next one, if you could give only one recommendation to anyone who's considering embarking on the journey into entrepreneurship, what would it be?
Oh, just one thing.
So Catriona said, that's me, I was the square peg trying to change the round hole. Yes, I think we all relate to that. Like that's me as well. I just like I've finally come to accept that I just wasn't born to fit in. And even that can be a bit of a journey, because you can initially keep trying to fit in and you just don't do that. Just accept it that you don't fit in and be yourself.
Stand out, and there's absolutely, it's rewarding to stand out. If there's one thing that I would tell someone that wants to become an entrepreneur is keep an open mind and be authentic. People will relate to you. People will buy from people rather than buy from businesses, if that makes sense. It's a journey. It's never a straight path, but it will be the most amazing journey that you go on.
Thanks, I agree. So, and two more tips. So
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'll give 2 more tips. Right. So this is a bit more of a generic tip probably for other people. Is like, just because you don't know where you want to be or where you want to do, it doesn't mean you stop searching.
Yeah.
Just not knowing the answer doesn't mean you stop asking the question. And never ask the question to someone who's not been through the experience. Don't go to your traditional, all respect to everybody who is within the sphere of medicine. I'm still within the sphere of medicine and I educationally supervise, etc. But don't go to someone who's only done medicine to ask them about how to start a business. And similarly, you won't go to someone who's only in business to ask them how you're going to start a career in medicine, isn't it? Find someone that is you can relate to, find someone that you know has been through that journey and speak to them. Connect, network, meet people, and always keep an open mind. Nothing will cost you more in life than a closed mind.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the first step is, even if you don't know what you want to do as a business, just have a vision for what you want in your life, and then that can, like you said, you wanted to travel and you just made that happen, and then it just kind of developed. So I would say that to anyone who's like, okay, I do know I want to do something but I'm not sure, get clear about what you want in life, and that will help you to just move forward then from there.
And I think a lot of people are and I think it was Ruqayya that mentioned it yesterday, I think a lot of people are kind of worried about niching down and finding a specific thing. But what I have found, and it comes down to personal branding as well, what I have found, if you speak to everybody, nobody will listen.
Yeah.
And the same thing, when you try to do everything, nothing will work. So focus it down to something that speaks to you, and you will definitely find your clients and customers through it.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's like a marketing tip actually for anyone who's in business. Even if you're selling a product, I've done like an Amazon business, and I know whether you're doing Amazon travel, products, whether you're doing coaching, whatever it is, you really have to pick. Like if in your mind, imagine one person, just one person that's going to buy your product or your coaching or whatever, and describe them like in detail and know exactly who they are. And just when you're doing your writing, when you're doing your marketing, if you're writing an email, if you're writing a blog post, imagine that one person sitting in front of you and write your posts and everything with that person in mind. And then watch how like you might attract actually about 20, 30, 100 people just because you've got it so right. So it's like, I see it as like a soul thing. So you're a soul and you're speaking to this one other soul who's like a twin soul who's a bit behind you, and you're inspiring them, pulling them towards yourself with your energy. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, that was a great tip. So last thing, because of like what you do, Ola, I think I gave you some topics, which some of which we have covered, but I wanted to go a bit more into, so we can talk about personal branding, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I mention that on your list? I don't even remember now. I was meant to. Yeah.
Yes, I think you did. And it kind of like comes down to kind of finding your niche. So personal branding, people want to see who you are, what you're really about. Because like I said, people buy from people, not necessarily buy the product.
Ola, my phone's just gone dead. So I'm going to go and grab the charger. You keep talking because I just want to make sure I can see the comments, if that's all right. So I'm just going to disappear for 2 seconds to get the charger. Sorry about this.
No worries, it's okay. Yeah. So I was saying, I forgot now my train of thoughts. Personal branding, yes. So people buy from people. They don't necessarily buy the product. The product is available almost everywhere. People can tap into Amazon and buy something very quickly. Why would they buy from your like cosmetics business? People can like go onto booking.com and get a holiday, but why would they come to my own personal service? It's what you add to it. It's your own vibe, your own energy, your own personal service that you put on top that would attract your people to come to you. And so always be mindful of that when you kind of put out your branding and put out who you are, because you want to end up attracting people that would want to come back to you time and time again, and people wouldn't come back to you unless they know what you stand for and what your mission is. Don't be afraid to focus down your niche, because like I said, if you speak to everyone, nobody would listen to you. But if you speak to a certain cohort of people, if you say my target market is people between 25 and 35, they are professional women within certain industry, they are gone through XYZ, then those, when you start to kind of market your message and brand yourself towards that, then those people are going to listen to you, and those are the people that are going to engage with you. So yeah, those are kind of like my tips on how you kind of personally brand yourself. You always have to have that, you have to figure out your why before you figure out what your personal brand is.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what talks to you, so you know what you talk about as well. And I've had, just kind of like for an example, I've been invited to talk about a few things, you know, kind of like have an appearance on like an Instagram page or be shouted out or something like that. But what that industry or what that person is doing doesn't really speak to my brand. It's not the brand that I'm trying to build. And I've just kind of politely apologized, and I said, although it's going to get me advertisement, but it's not quite what my market is. It's not where I'm going with this brand. But when you've come, when you've approached me, and I was like, this is, you know, spot on my brand, these are my people, this is my tribe. And you have to really know what your vibe is to attract your tribe, obviously. So you need to do that little bit of soul searching. Your why will dominate everything, your vision will dominate everything. So you need to spend time to figure that out. And yeah, who you are, the people will get to know you and buy from you.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, it's just basically be authentic and be who you are. And then that's when, and you can even like, you can do exercises where you can like come up with like with words which are like, so for me, like I have like quirky, soulful, deep, passionate, and daring. And like I that's who I am. And like I literally, if you work with me, I'll take you out of your comfort zone. So you know, you're up for a thrilling ride. So like I say that right at the onset, because I don't want those clients who don't want to do that. So that's you can even like, to get really clear on basically you have to get to know yourself, and then you know what your brand is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
But like with Ola,
Yeah.
like I'll tell you what I get from you is like fun, a bit of fashion, adventure, and sort of yeah, like again daring, and like that shows, because that's what shows in your posts and like the way you write and everything. So yeah, it just be yourself, and then it shows. So thank you
Absolutely.
for that. And that's what the new way of business is. Like in the past, it wasn't so much like that, but especially with online, it's all about being you, because that's what gets you those clients. And it's not about the clients and the money, it's more that that's what gets you those people that you can click with and you can enjoy working with, which is the
Because
main.
again, a point to what you said is that you're moving away from a career, or you're changing a career, or you're changing a situation where you feel that the lights are all switched off, and you're going into an arena where you want to switch those lights on, where you want to put on your sparkle, your spark, and you don't want to create another situation where you dim the lights all over again. You don't want to be, do disservice to yourself by being someone else or something else when you were trying to get out of that all the way along. You want to be you, and you want to attract people that are like you to allow you to be you and celebrate each other.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Ola. And so I think we've already kind of spoken about vision and why, but avoiding burnout, like I think that's really important, because obviously with you're doing your job, you're doing your business, and you've also obviously everyone's got family and all that going on as well. So how do you? It's so easy to get burnout in business as well, which people don't realize. So what were your tips on that?
Because it's so easy to go from a job where you're feeling like you're on the verge of burning out, or you're burnt out, to get into a business and then burn yourself out in that one as well. And a point that you touched on earlier is very important to start looking for your other alternatives or your other options before you actually reach the point of burnout, because when you do, it's a bit too late. And it creates that sense of resentment, and that's not what you want. So when you get into your business, you need to be very wary about what switches you off, or what is your signs of burnout. And you just need to kind of apply those controls. And I think was it Fairuz that talked about boundaries, I believe?
Yeah.
I think
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a skill. It's a learning curve, and you just have to kind of like trial and error until you get the right balance, and probably you'll go through a lot of kind of like a long journey before you hit that balance. But it's just being mindful of it. You need to set boundaries for your business, and you go like, this is protected time for family, or this is protected time for me to rest and unwind. And it can be difficult when you're in the beginning and you're trying to make it start and work and go, and get big. But for me, I recognize it when I have those days when I wake up and I go like, I just can't get out of bed. I'm just got this low energy that I can't bring my vibe on. And I just kind of, go through my recharge routine, and I go like, this is definitely a sign for me to kind of like take a step back. It's a process. Sometimes I do push myself hard because I just want to go for it. And sometimes, I recognize it and kind of like stop it in its tracks and get used to kind of like recharge myself again.
That's such an important point. Like, yeah, whenever you're getting basically that low energy and that tiredness and that feeling, that's normally a sign that you've probably crossed the limit a bit, and you probably just need to invest in some self-care. And this is like when I do my branding module, I always teach women that your brand is as good as you are. So sometimes you can really get that balance completely wrong. Some people think, oh no, I need to strategize more, do more work on my business, do more work on like more posts on social media. But actually, when you're exhausted and you're burnt out and you're in such a bad state yourself, all of that energy will emit into everything you do. So the first thing you can do for your brand is look after yourself, because you are the business.
True.
Yeah.
And
so that was a really good point, actually, what you said, Ola, like when you notice that and you just
definitely. And it's been, the business has been great for me to not burn out at work, because I'd have all of the craziness that's going on in work, and then I'll come home and instead of like, forcing myself to switch off, which never really happens unless you've got something else to immerse yourself in, So I kind of like put myself into the business, into the community, growing my own personal brand. And I kind of like, it takes me away from work. But again, I need to put on the boundaries to stop myself burning out in the business.
Yeah, and that's going back to what you said initially, actually. Like if your why is really strong and you make your business around a passion, it's like really a soul mission, then actually your business will become really fun. And then it's even, that's really important to make it less likely to burn out. So Katrina is saying that she's been doing some validation interviews recently and it's so enlightening. Yeah, so just to kind of let everyone know, there's different words for that validation interviews. It's basically a term called market research, which probably people are familiar with. But when you're on a business, when you're setting your business up, so for example, with me, like first, when I was doing my healing business, I decided I want to help women with emotional trauma who have been through like a big event in their life, like a divorce, or maybe they've become widowed or anything else as well, other things. So what you do at that stage, when you first decide what your niche is, you go and find people who have had that experience and you ask them a few questions like, oh, would you be interested in something like this? What would you pay for it? Blah, blah, blah. And that helps you with a lot of stuff. That helps you do your marketing, that helps you do your pricing for your packages, that helps you with even niching down and also recognizing who's not your client as well. So yeah, that's what that is. So Katriona is basically saying that she's obviously she's starting to work with burnt out professionals. So she's been talking to people who are burnt out and getting information from them, because then once you've done that, you can really target your clients really well. So that's just to let everyone know in case someone's wondering what that is, validation interviews. Katriona, you can just confirm that that's what you're talking about in case I've got it completely wrong. Okay. So, and how to make business fun, Ola. I think we kind of covered it, but if you have anything else to add.
Well, if your business is looking at lush hotels and beaches, why wouldn't it be fun?
If you're passionate about that, yes.
Definitely. So,
yeah.
and it goes back to the point of like, find something that you're happy doing. And yes, that thing that you're happy doing might have its like little bit of icky stuff, or, you know, like the things that you don't really want to do. But on the whole, it's something that gets you out of bed in the morning, makes your soul sing, switches on your lights. That is when you know that this is your journey and this is going to be a fun ride. So yeah, and like when you find people that celebrate you without even knowing you, when you're in an amazing industry, or it's just it comes down to finding yourself and finding what clicks with you, and then it will be a fun ride. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ola. So does anybody have any questions for Ola? I think we have got a few people watching, so just going to give them. Facebook is a bit behind when it comes to.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for a bit.
It takes a little bit of time until they
type. So yeah, Katriona is saying yes, that's what I'm talking about, and also seeing how the current situation is impacting on things, because people are reporting lower self and professional efficacy and efficiency, more loneliness and isolation, more sitting time at a desk in front of a computer, longer hours, that sort of thing. Yeah, definitely. So that's how it helps, because for example, I'm not sure about how Katriona's, how it's unfolded for her, but just I could share something where you might start off thinking, okay, I want to work with burnt out professionals. But then when you do your market research, you realize actually there's something else I could add here, that because of COVID, they're getting more burnt out with this. So then when you start doing your marketing, you can specifically target, like you could say, do a post about, I know it's COVID right now and you've ended up working at home and you're sitting in front of your desk for such long hours and that's probably causing you burnout. And by doing that, you're getting that client like that's interested in what you're doing. So that's how that helps. So that's really important exercise. Okay, any questions? Doesn't look like there's that many questions on there. So Ola, just from myself, actually, just in case there's anyone out there who's thinking, I want to do what Ola does, what would they need to do? How can they contact you? What would be the first steps? How would they start?
So on my Facebook, that's the best way to contact me. It's Ola Abbas. or I've also got a link on my Facebook that has like the contact forms and my blog, etc. But probably the best way to get to me is through my Facebook. So yeah, I'm happy to chat about how I can plan a trip for you, advise about trips. Even if you don't travel with me, I'm very happy sharing what I know, and also if you want to find out how you can set up yourself in an independent business and leverage on the industry.
Okay, so there you go, everyone. If anyone's interested in becoming a travelpreneur, or maybe if you're just interested in traveling more, you can get in touch with Ola, and she can help you. And Katrina is saying thank you, ladies. And I think, yeah, thank you, Ola, for being here. I really enjoyed that, so thank you for that. And I just love the way you talked about business, because for me, like even with my business coaching, so if anyone out there is interested, I mainly help coaches, but if you're interested in like a service-based business online, I can help you with that as well. But the way I do business coaching is like a lot of people. So it's not like if you've got that strategic sort of masculine approach, you will hate what I do. So don't come to me. But I really work on like sort of working from the soul, healing anything that's in the way of abundance. So literally, like I bring my healing into it as well, because we literally have to heal our money stories, heal any dis-ease we have around having money and abundance, and like, you know, being the wild, you know, leader woman that you are, and like just really owning that too muchness and showing up as your full self with your art and everything. That's like that spiritual kind of approach to business. That's how I work. And if you like Rumi and Khalil Gibran and that kind of poetry and stuff, then you're my person. And I'm very poetic, very artistic. So I bring vision boards and art into it, and I do EFT and tapping to like work through things. And mindset is my main thing. So if anyone's interested, and I did put a poll up in the group. So if I was thinking I could do a vision board masterclass for people if there's enough interest, and also some business kind of free and training if anyone's interested. But I'll just wait and see. If no one's interested, obviously there's no point. But if you are, then let me know and I'll do something. And just lastly, the interviews will all be available for until the 30th of October. So you have enough time to catch up and watch them all. But if you do want like lifetime access, then it's going to be £25. This wasn't really like a money-making activity. It was more like just inspiring people that you can do something different. And I hope I have achieved that. I've definitely found it so enjoyable. So if people are interested in having lifetime access to these interviews, again, I'll do a poll to see if that's worthwhile for me to make that available. And if there's enough people interested, then I'll do that. If not, then we'll just leave it. But so the group will close on the 30th of October. So until then, you have time to watch all the interviews. Sorry, all I just kind of took over there, but I just needed to get that.
Absolutely fine.
And thank you so much for being here. It's really been a pleasure talking to you. So yes, last but not least, Ola, that was so enjoyable. And maybe we'll be in touch if we want to travel. So thank you.
Definitely. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.